Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. Always ready to explore.
Well, today we're tackling something that I think a lot of English learners struggle with. Tenses.
Yeah, they can definitely be a bit tricky.
They really can.
hmm
But, I was reading some work from an expert, Teacher Sam, and
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. Lots of good stuff.
yeah, really practical advice. And one of the coolest things I came across was this idea of using visual timelines to really make sense of tenses,
Mm.
like actually seeing how they work.
That's a really interesting approach, actually. Because time is such an abstract concept,
Boy.
it's hard to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
But if you can visualize it,
Yeah.
suddenly becomes a lot more manageable.
And Teacher Sam had some great advice for actually doing this. So the first thing they recommend, and I love this, is to just grab a piece of paper.
Oh, I like that. Hands-on.
Yeah, and just draw a line. And this is your timeline. You can mark it, past, present, future, however you want to think about it.
Right, basic structure.
Yep. And then you take different sentences and you actually place them on the timeline. So let's say, I don't know, a simple sentence like, I ate breakfast.
Okay, classic example.
Where would that go?
Well, that's definitely in the past, so back there somewhere.
Exactly. It's done, finished, over and out. But then let's say we have a sentence like, I was eating breakfast when the phone rang.
Ah, now it gets interesting.
Right. So how does that look different on our timeline?
Well, now the action is kind of stretched out a bit in the past, isn't it? Because you were in the middle
Go-
of doing something
Hmm.
when something else happened.
Right. So it's not just a single point in time. It's like this ongoing action,
that's right.
like suddenly interrupted.
And that's one of the things that's so cool about using these timelines.
Yeah.
Because you start to see not just where a single sentence sits in time, but how different sentences relate to each other.
Oh, that's such a good point. It's like they have these little conversations on the timeline.
Exactly. It's like a visual dialogue. So, for example, let's say we're tackling something like the present perfect.
Ooh, yeah. That one's always a bit of a head scratcher.
It is for a lot of people.
Hmm.
But on a timeline, it actually makes a lot of sense because let's say we take that sentence, I have eaten breakfast.
Okay.
If you think about where that would go on the timeline, well, it starts in the past, right? You ate breakfast at some point,
Right.
but it stretches all the way to the present moment.
Right. Because I'm full now. It's affecting me now.
Precisely. And that's what the present perfect is all about, this connection between the past and the present.
I'm seeing it. I'm actually seeing it. So this timeline is like a key to unlocking all these different tenses.
It really is. And it's something you can use for any tense you're learning.
This is so cool because I think so often with grammar, we get stuck in just memorizing rules.
Oh, yeah. Definitely guilty of that.
Right. But this makes it so visual, so tangible.
And that's something that's really helpful for a lot of learners.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's not just about understanding, it's about remembering too. It's like you're creating this mental map
Right.
of how time works in English.
Absolutely. And it's funny because once you start thinking about time this way, it can actually change how you approach other things too.
Oh, interesting.
Like imagine you're reading a novel.
Hmm.
You could create a timeline for the events of the story.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that would help you keep track of everything.
Right, or even think about historical events. You could map out the major moments on a timeline.
Oh, that's so cool. Like a visual representation of history.
Exactly. So it's a tool that goes way beyond just English tenses.
Wow, my mind is blown. This is amazing.
Glad to hear it.
Well, huge thanks to Teacher Sam for these incredible tips. And to all of you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
See you then.